Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. Tom Stanley hosting from an attic where it's absolutely pouring it down, and I've got thunder and lightning here, so my Wi-Fi is very in and out. But there we are. It's April, everyone. Micheál, Deasy, what's the weather like with you in Cork?
It is beautiful. It's only rained 2 or 3 times today.
What's it doing up in the? Are you in the Midlands, Charlie?
Warwickshire, yeah, we got blue sky now, but we did have a while of some heavy rain and hail. So I feel your pain, mate. I feel your pain.
Yeah, listen, it's shitting it down, but it's not going to affect the all-weather action, which we're going to be previewing a little bit. Thanks, Helen. The Stanley Quiff is blocking the Wi-Fi signal. It's all over the shop. But yes, the all-weather action won't be affected. Good Friday racing, of course, is very much here to stay, and lots of prize money on offer. We will, in the main in this podcast, be previewing the Saturday action, which is over jumps, but we will be getting stuck into a bit of Good Friday action tomorrow. Don't forget to head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all the best bets. We want you to like and subscribe, all the usual business with regards to that, because it makes it easier for you to watch and take in each and every podcast we do. The team is very much back together with the Premier League action this weekend as well, and I hope that somebody's going to tell me that Tottenham are going to win the match. Probably not, so there you are. Our producer's an Arsenal fan, which just kills me. I'm doing too much talking because I can hardly hear myself up here, so we're just going to turn our attention to Good Friday first of all. We're not going to major on this. I know this isn't Deasy's bag because he's king of the jumps, which is fine. But Charlie, do you have a Good Friday bet or bets for us, please?
I just put up in the 240, Tom Dingle, Julie Camacho's. He won last time out at Newcastle, second run back after a wind up. And it's an interesting race. So you've got Mulgrave in there for John McConnell, sends an Irish Raider over. And of course, a shorty at the top, Bruin for the William Haggis team that won on handicap debut last time. I'm not sure that was that much of a race. And I just thought it's still on bits of his old form. This horse of Julie Camacho's could still be reasonably treated off 84. He's drawn in box 3, which is fine. He's a good, strong traveller. And I just thought from a win and place option at 8 point, I've got 8.0 up here on my iPad. I thought there was a bit of mileage in him, mate.
Fine. I'm going to stick up 2 horses. One of them is in the Easter Classic in the 3 o'clock at Newcastle. Disappointing enough turnout, I thought, for a 200 grand race, but there we are. 6 go with a maximum field of 14. Let me just get an updated price for you on my phone. I was hoping for around about 3.0 for Forest of Dean. I'm not sure we're going to get quite that. What have we got?
2.75. I'll call out the prices for you there if you're lacking.
Okay, please do. That'd help. So this horse is just. He will be too good for them. I'm really sure. He's a course and distance winner from a couple of starts ago. Last time, Lord North won easy, and he was disappointing. He finished behind his stable companion, who is yet to win on the all-weather, but not a huge amount bigger than Forest of Dean. He raced over the up against the rail that day, and the race developed away from him. That's not an excuse because he would never have won, but he likes to be produced late. Newcastle suits him because of the stiff finish. He's rated just £1 superior to Harrovian, but I think on the all-weather that's a nonsense. He's a better horse than Harrovian on the all-weather. And David Marnane's sending a few horses over, which is interesting. But I was out at Maidan when Freescape was running, and I was just a touch disappointed with him out there. And his Dundalk win, which put him up to 109, I don't really know whether that's a true reflection of his ability. I thought that Forest of Dean was just such an obvious winner, and I was a bit surprised he was as big as he was, because I could have seen him around about even money for this. I know on official ratings he's not that far clear, but I think in this race so much is going to suit him that I struggled to see past him. So Forest of Dean is one of them, and I'll back him individually, and I'll also put him in a double with another favourite. I was sort of half hoping this horse wouldn't be favourite, and that Diligent Harry or Vadream after her win last time would be at the top of the betting. But I definitely think Anaf in the last race at Newcastle should be favourite. He caused a bit of a surprise at a big price when finishing second here in the Chip Chase last year, and he just proved that he's a really progressive horse on the all-weather. Not so much on turf, but look at what he's done in his last 3 starts on the all-weather. He's a course and distance winner. He beat Diligent Harry last time. who I thought was close enough in the betting to him, given how well he put him away last time. He's clearly been kept off the track for this, but he does go well fresh. And I thought he should be clear favourite. He just about is now at about 4.0 Deasy in the last.
He is 3.85, which there's a new market. So you'll probably get the 4.0, and the double is about 8.5 as well if you want to stick the two of them together.
Look at that. There we go. 8.38W just written. There we are. So those two for me, I thought they're the two bets I'll have. Ultimately, I didn't look at Lingfield, and I thought Newcastle-wise it wasn't ultra competitive, but Forest Dean and a NAF for me. Not your bag, Dees?
I've super subbed in for this. I hadn't looked at it. If I had a few more hours, I would have gone through it. But I mean, like Forest Dean, I think he's rock solid. He would have been one I would have been strong at. He's a sharp price. I don't think he has much to beat. So.
Would you have? Go on, Charlie.
I'll chuck Outbreak into the mix as well in the 350. Mark Johnson's horse as well. I had him sort of pinned up as well. He got absolutely murdered last time at Wolverhampton. Wasn't beat very far. Before that, he made a promising reappearance on his first run back from being gelded, and then he won. He won at the track nicely enough at Lingfield. His draw is okay, and he's a real strong traveller as well. And I think there still could be some mileage in his mark, and I think the up to a mile and a quarter is not a negative either. I think he stays it well enough.
Yeah, he's 7.0, and again, you probably get a bigger than that now tomorrow when the markets are better formed. That's
one of the most competitive races on the all-weather card. I thought that was really difficult, but you're getting a fair price, aren't you? I backed Million Thanks last time, and I couldn't find an excuse for him. I suppose the angle with him is having Benoit de la Sayette on board, but I don't know. I couldn't. He bumped into an older horse last time who was well treated, but I'm loath to go back to the well with him. But there we are. So Outbreak for Charlie in that around about 7.0. That's our very quick look at the Good Friday card. So 4 bets going up. Forest Dean and NAF for me in the 3 o'clock, and at Newcastle and the last at Newcastle. And for Charlie, Dingle in the 240, Outbreak in the 350. All right, we now come to Haydock. This is where Micheál Deasy comes into his own. So 130, first of all, Dees, you take it away, and I'll get the prices up, unless you've got them there.
I'm going to have them up there now in about, there we go. So Bubble Doobie is the favourite at 4.2. Then you'll see these aren't ordered at all. Bubble Doobie is the favourite at 4.2. Then you have Too Friendly at 7.0. Word Hazard and WizKid are both there at 9.4, 9.6. I Take It Easy is 9.0, and 'tis bigger prices than the rest of them. Will I drive on my pick just while I'm going?
Please do, Dees. Please do.
Yeah.
What do you like?
My pick is Castel Gandolfo. He's 13.0 now. He finished second in this race last year. That was really my angle into it. If you look back at that race, he was a very big price as well. I think he was about 19.0. He absolutely tanked into the race. He jumped the second last and was just cruising up the outside. Again, he went up. The horse to beat him actually missed it, went through the last and missed him. And Castel Gandolfo found himself in front. There's a bit of a run in there, Haydock, and he just got picked up again towards the line. He was a bit unlucky. I think he got in front and was just there a bit too long. I would say this has almost certainly been the plan. Now he missed a few engages there at Cheltenham. He was into the November meeting in January, but they'll probably work back from this. This is probably an end of season target for him. He's running off virtually the same mark. Again, he's going to be about 13.0. That's a win place bet. I think he'll run a cracker, and I'm happy enough to have a go at him. Bubble Doobie is someone I've had in the tracker since he finished, I think it was second to Timorous at the start of the season, but he's short enough for this. I'd say Stuart Edmonds has been lining him up for something, but he's in there now about 4.2, but it's short enough. I'd rather go for Castel Gandolfo at a bigger price.
Okay, Charlie?
Yeah, I agree with Dees about the favourite being a little bit short. I thought on form, I didn't know if he had that much movement to be favoured in this. Too Friendly again has been a frustrating horse for the Skeltons. They reach for the blinkers, but again, I was willing to overlook him. So I came down with Take It Easy for Pam Sly and Paul O'Brien, who's had an excellent season, a real sort of breakthrough season for him with the relationship with Harry Derham. He's really well handicapped, this horse. I think he won off 132 sort of about 18 months ago. And there's been signs, a couple of runs, the run at Catrick behind First Impressions, and even behind Haydock that he retains enough ability, and his mark continues to drop. You know, he's down 4 from his last start at Fakenham when he was beat 16 lengths by Paramount. And I just feel like he's one of these horses that before long he's going to end up too well handicapped not to go in. And hopefully it's Saturday at Haydock.
Right, and I've got essentially a horrible bet in the sense that it's very much win and place, and I'd probably play him more in the place market. But word has it was behind Bubble Doobie last time, and I just feel like he's priced up on a sort of cannot win, or from a cannot win position. I know Bubble Doobie was good value for it, but a different track here, which may just play a little bit more to word has its stamina. He was keeping on. He lines up here off the same mark. He's got a £5 swing with Bubble Doobie. I'm not saying he's definitely going to get in front of that horse, but he's just never out the placings, this horse. I think he has been once at Kelso on very testing ground, but he's very consistent. I hope he gets a bit of a test here because he probably wants it, but round about 9.0, I thought word has it win and place, probably 75% place bet and 25% win bet. Word has it was a fair enough shout in a big enough field. So hopefully that, I mean, they go quick enough for him because I think he wants to test at the trip. But yeah, a bit of a filthy place bet mainly on word has it in a race I wasn't overly strong on.
I have a question there for you knowledgeable horsey people. Too Friendly has first time blinkers on, and the last time they put headgear on him, they put cheap pieces on him, and he absolutely hated them. He ran shite both times. Would there be a huge difference between blinkers and cheap pieces? But like, what would it be?
Yeah, well, I mean, there would be, in so much that the blinkers would be a heck of a lot more severe for, in theory, focusing their mind and completely sort of closing off their peripheral vision, if you will. So like, you know, they can, horses have the ability to kind of almost see backwards, whereas the blinkers completely cut off that ability. The cheek pieces would just be a softer option to that. But I think it's an excellent point that he bombed out with cheek pieces on last time. You'd imagine that they've tried them at home, the blinkers, and they feel that they've had a positive effect. But there's also sometimes, I think, with these things, a case of they're just rolling the dice. You know, they're just trying because he's frustrating them, and you know, you do the same thing all the time, you get the same results. So it could be that they've seen a positive sign at home, and it could just be decent. They're just thinking, well, nothing else seems to be working. We may as well have a bash.
I should add an asterisk to that. Was actually when he was with George Scott, they tried the cheek pieces. So, and he ran his 2 worst races for him. So maybe the Skeletons have found something with that. I was just looking at it there because when you see first time headgear, sometimes it's an angle I look at, but was put off by that.
I think it's even more ammunition to that I wouldn't touch him angle, because I wouldn't just on profile, but added to that. Obviously they're different, but yeah, I think that's a good point. Also, you get really different types of blinkers. You get some really like open cut blinkers, and then some very close cut blinkers, don't you?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think whenever you see it, it's rarely a positive, is it? If you know, like, as in, yes, it can have a positive effect, but the reasons for reaching for them are rarely positive. If you know what I mean, it means that they're trying to change something or bring something about. And look, some horses, it can have a hugely positive upside too, even if it's only for a short space of time. But normally the reasons for reaching for them are negative when you're questioning the horse's attitude and resolution, isn't it, really?
After on his 12th run for the Skeletons, and that's the first time they go for it.
Gonna win, isn't he? Maybe the 150 at Musselburgh.
Yeah.
Interested with your shout here, outside of the field, Dees. Go on.
What's it? Paul Roger, I think is how they pronounce it. Look, this I spent a good bit of time.
Champagne, that Dees. That's a champagne.
I know. Apparently, they sponsor Hugo Farmer's Yard now or something.
They do. Look out, they do.
yeah. I was googling that. So I had a good look through this because obviously I didn't really know many of the horses, so I watched a lot of the races, and he was one of the first ones I looked at, and I looked back at his form there last year, and just on debut red card, he kind of missed a break a small bit and came from absolutely miles back to finish. He he finished a length and a quarter to a horse called Tarantino, which I think won next time out. And like, I mean, he made up, I'd say, probably 10 lengths of him. The second one, then he beat a horse called Docklands, who's trained by Roger Charlton.
Has he gone?
Yeah, I think so.
I assumed it was me. That's the look of a man that's just said Roger Charlton.
Or Paul Roger.
You're Paul Roger, exactly. We'll try and get him back. Maybe the Thunder's gone to Cork.
Yeah.
But let me take it off his hands with my shout, who again is very much a win and place shout on Finn's Charm. 1 or 2 in the race for Charlie Johnson. I quite like it when these Johnston horses, when there's more than one of them in the field. That said, that's only if they tend to go forward. Now, Lion of War has done once in the past, but he can be held up. But you quite often get these Johnson horses who, we know they tend to go forward, and you think there's going to be a strong pace on, and then they control it between them. Anyway, Finn's Charm is a course winner. Tailed off a bit at the back end of last season with it was a competitive contest he ran in at Doncaster when a 13.0 shot. Has been eased £3 subsequent to that, but this would much more suit his way of going. Like, he's definitely going to go forward out of 2. Same comments about Ascot as well. This is definitely going to suit him a little bit more than the 2-year-old contest he ran in Ascot, the Chesham. Trying to get my head around these Royal Ascot races from when I'm in jumps mode. But prior to that, he won Easy As You Like at the track. But I thought he was well overpriced at around about 11.0 when we know he's going to get the run of things, or thereabouts out of 2. And whether you want to trade out, I don't know. But he's an obvious one who I'm going to want to back and maybe have a look at his price in the run, because he will definitely trade shorter than that. And this track's going to suit him a lot more than the Ascots and the Doncasters, which are similar sort of tracks he's run over recently. You can finish up your champagne bet, Dees.
Yeah, where was it? Oh yeah, he beat a horse called Docklands at Haydock, who was trained by Harry Eustace. He's been out again since, and he's won. He looks a nice horse. I just think that he's probably been overlooked in the market. His season tailed off. He ran very badly at York in that nursery handicap in October, but they've gelded him since. I think he's completely overpriced. I think a lot of these are kind of in and around each other in terms of ability, and I would rather be taking a swing at something at 21.0 win place in this than something at a kind of a sharp price.
Charlie.
I ended up with Manitou for the Archie Watson team. I mean, his form, the third behind Streets of Gold and Juliet Sierra in Newmarket in July, reads well now. They've both gone on to better and improve things and have elevated marks around the 100 sort of scenario, which would make him treated okay off 90. He was quite keen going last year, and it took time for him to sort of learn to settle. Got the job done at Chepstow. He won a race out in Sweden, and then disappointed a little bit, beat 7 lengths in a French listed race at the end of the season. I also just thought I like the fact that Archie Watson is amongst the winners. The horses seem to be starting off in pretty decent nick as well, which I think is an important thing at this time of year where some people sort of feel their way into the season a little bit more. He looks like he's got his ready to rock and roll. The only negative for me, as he can be a keen goer, is box 8. I think a lot of the time around the mile and the 7 furlong trip at Musselburgh, a low draw is a real advantage. And I just wouldn't want to see him trapped wide and over racing and on this first run back. Thought it's quite an interesting race though, Tom. Quite a few relatively unexposed 3-year-olds that might have upside, and it could be an interesting race for the season moving forward.
I genuinely like, this is the sort of race I would not love to play in, and it'll just be a small win and place bet for me, because 3-year-old races this time of year, I think they are. I think this time of year is tough anyway. But when you get these horses who we don't know how they've done over the season, basically on this gambling podcast, I'm saying take it steady. That personally, this time of year in these sorts of races, I try and take it very steady. But you're all responsible out there. 240. Haydock, we've all had a go there, haven't we? Yes, 240 at 225 at Musselburgh next up. This is a 7 furlong contest, Class 2 handicap. Has anyone gone for Autumn Festival? Bang at the top of it. No. Interesting. All right. Charlie, you come straight in with your shout, Guidor.
Is that how you pronounce it?
What do you say?
The horse of Newlands. Is that how we're pronouncing it?
No, aren't you? Are you not with Guidor here?
No, we're at Musselburgh, not Haydock, Charlie.
Oh, sugar, we're going through Musselburgh. Sorry, lads. Go in Deasy. I've flicked over to Haydock. I was thinking, I don't see how that can be pronounced like that.
Guidor is a town in Donegal.
Tell you what, some podcast today.
Oh yeah, we're absolutely smashing it.
You're with Guidor, and Charlie's thinking, is that how you say on guard?
Yeah, like I'm looking at it going, that really can't be right.
Right, go on, Charlie, when you're ready.
Yeah, so hang on, let me compose myself. Guidor won the race last year off of 82. But he held his form well throughout the rest of the season, you know, and he was narrowly beaten off today's mark of 90 at Musselburgh. Katie Scott's horses are running okay. She's not been amongst the winners, but she's had plenty of horses running all right. He's drawn 5, which is a decent slot for him. He's a strong traveller. He could be a tradable option because he often, even when he doesn't win, he often leads late into his races and gets overhauled late on. And he loves this track. He's, I think, in 12 starts, he's only been out the first 3 twice. So yeah, Guidor for me.
The other thing I've noticed, Charlie, is if you just can you just shift an inch to your left, just
my left,
just an inch to your left. There, look at those shoulder pads. That is
yeah, like they're nice.
That is impressive. Oh yes. Oh, right. I can't remember I've gone for in this.
I'll help you with the pronunciation anyway.
Yeah, Spirit of Light. I think that's how you say it. So I was out in Dubai when this horse was racing. The issue this horse had in running in Dubai is you all throughout the turf season, you could never get into it from the rear. I mean, the closest he got was a race won by Shining Blue, where that horse was clearly well ahead of his mark and dominated from the front and nearly threw the race away, and still Spirit of Light couldn't get there. So you might use that against him, but otherwise he's a hold-up horse, which may not be ideal for Musselburgh, I know, who just never got into it. But there's a load of pace on here, and I'm just convinced he's better than we saw out in Dubai because he could never get into his races. Now, it might be that he wants further. I just thought I quite like the angle of some horses coming back here and starting the season. Like Dubai form can be discounted, and quite often that's the way to go, particularly with the Godolphin Blue, but not with all of them. I mean, horses coming back from Dubai have got a good record of winning or placing in the Lincoln. So we know he's race fit, and I just want to chance him back on the turf in the UK where races can develop a bit more favourably. 10.0, I might be wide of the mark, but he's worth a go here. Definitely in a race with pace on. So Spirit of Light winning place for me. Deasy.
The one I have gone for is Abduction. Abduction, Guidor and Autumn Festival all ran against each other over course and distance and good to soft ground at the end of the season last year in October. And if you watch back the race, Abduction had the rail in behind Autumn Festival, and he never by clear run. It was great ride by Danny Tulloch. He just boxed him in. Never gave him the gap, and Autumn Festival went on to win by a length. Guidor finished third. I think that if Abduction, if he was absolutely tanking, I think if he'd got that gap, he probably would have gone very close to winning. He's only been raised a pound. Autumn Festival has gone up a few pounds. Just I think if the trade will turn up in the same form on the day, I'd give him a squeak. Yeah.
Alrighty, that's all done in the Silver Arrow. The 240, I know Charlie's going for. I agree as well. This is at Haydock. I've supported this horse a few times. Obviously, as a course and distance winner, likes it here. Disappointing on the first start since the wind up, but sometimes it takes him a little while. And like for me, he's a bit too well treated at this price to back, Charlie.
Yeah, completely. As in, like I think he was second in this race last year as well, off of £10 higher. And the thing as well, just to add to yours, was when he ran in February, Richard Newland's yard were going through a really, really quiet spell. They seem to have come out of that now. Horses back in much better order. I think he's actually up through the early part of April. I think he's sort of 100%. I think he's 2 from 2 so far. So the horses are in much better order now. I don't think second run back from a wind up is a bad angle. And again, there were bits of form, in the Beecher between Ashtown Lad. I mean, he's only beat 28 lengths there. He ran okay on a couple of occasions in better company than this. And like I say, then you're adding in the liking for the track, the race form from last season. And he's just really, really dangerously well handicapped. And at 12.0, 10, whatever he is, I just think he's a great win and place bet, this lad.
All right, DC, this sort of race is your bag, isn't it?
It is if they win, yeah.
Chase with a big field. It's got
yeah,
King of the
I was looking at an card as well, because I tipped him up a few times back when he first came over, but he's been so bad for so long. And I know Richard Newland has found a bit of form. He got that old pig, let run on me or something to win the other day, and I was like, he must be going all right if he could get that to win. But I have deserted him today for Sue Smith's horse, Small Present. So Sue Smith is well known for loving it at Haydock, and this horse, say he's a Haydock specialist, but he's a very good record at the track. He won in this card last year. He actually won a handicap hurdle. He beat Colonial Dreams, and he's gone chasing now this year. He's done all right chasing, but hasn't set the world alight. But I think he's coming back to his favourite track. He always runs well at Haydock. He's in here at a nice weight, and again, he's a big price. He's 16.0. I'd probably have a little win place betting him. I'd say that this could have been, again, a target with a while this meeting.
Okay. The reason on card has been running so badly is because they've been calling him Guido, but now they finally got it right. Moving on to the 3 o'clock at Musselburgh. Incidentally, Alex, I should tell everyone what you've been saying. You're having a bet on Jeffrey's Cross. Well, I can see why. There you are, Alex Jeffrey. Welcome back. Peter has tied times to place. Thanks for all your input. Right, 3 o'clock at Musselburgh then. Charlie, I'll go straight over to you if I can.
Yeah, the bell conductor for me. I mean, really trappy race. Minimum trip at Musselburgh, and a lot of horses making their seasonal return. I think plenty of sprinters take a while to again define their rhythm. And this lad, like I say, he's been running away on the all-weather. Paul Midgley has done an excellent job with him. I think he's improved over a stone since he had him on the all-weather, and it'd be interesting to see now if he can translate the upside on the sand back to the grass. And again, I think 5 furlong at Musselburgh, being up with the speed is never a bad place to be. And this lad he's got loads of boot. He's in 5. I don't think normally there's a huge bias. It tends to be around where the pace is, and I'd be surprised if he isn't nearly leading them. This horse, he's very quick.
Yeah, where'd you say he was drawn, Charlie?
He's drawn 5.
Yeah, that's fine. You see,
yeah.
What I thought was interesting about the race is, well, you got Came From the Dark for a start, who I can't trust personally. I backed the horse a few times, and he can be a bit unlucky. I don't know. He doesn't do it for me at the top of the betting. Then you got a load of horses drawn high, which I do think is a bit of a negative. I'd still rather that you were near side and drawn lower. So I can see your angle with him. I thought that a previous course and distance winner, Digital, was interesting, who was picked up by Roger Fell to go and race in Bahrain, was ultimately a bit disappointing out there. Although he ran pretty well on his first start out there in a race won by Nomadic Empire when, where did he finish there? He finished 3rd on that occasion. He was drawn the right side because you needed to be far side, and then he didn't back it up. But he's a course and distance winner who won't be too far away. He looks out of form because he's gone abroad, but actually he's still fairly treated on his peak form. And I thought he could get a nice little run just off it up the stand side rail. So it's just a race I wanted to look at a much bigger price, given that a lot of them towards the top of the betting I could find holes in either based on where they're drawn or particularly the top one came from the dark. So small win and place digital. Dees.
Yeah, very speculative punt on Count D'Orsay at a big price. Look, I was looking at him. He started off last season rated 95 and is landing here now rated 79. But if you look through his form, he's running some good races. He's running class 2s and class 3s, and he's only really ever been well beaten once. He's a decent horse. He was, I think, a top rated of over 100 at one stage. He is drawn bang next to the belt conductor, who is going to jump out and front run. If Count D'Orsay can get out and get a good pull into the race, I could see him hitting the frame, and you're going to be getting 4 to 4, maybe 5 places in this. He's currently about 34.0, so I'd be happy enough to have a little bet in him. Probably a tiny win bet at back of 4 places and 5 places. Okay,
digital, the bell conductor, Count D'Orsay. Moving on to a big field race at Haydock, the 3:15. It's a good race. This. Dees, I'll come straight to you. Who do you like and why?
I like Highland. There was a few in this. Very interested to see that Pillion is with Christian Williams. Was having a good think about that, but I won't chance today. The money isn't down yet. But Highland, Nicky Henderson's horse, he finished second to Emma Tom in the first time Emma Tom won in about 7 or 8 years there at the start of March. But it was a big step up and trip from. He'd never gone beyond 2.5, or sorry, he'd gone 2 mile 5, but first time at 3 miles. And it looked to be the making of him. He was staying on all the way to the end. I think he was 4th jumping the last and just kept going. Emma Tom just had the run on him, but he's unexposed at the distance. He's only 6. There could be any amount of improvement in him. And Nicky Henderson is absolutely flying as well. I think he's 6 wins from 50 runners over the past few days. So Yard is really hitting form. And there's a few in here that could be anything, but I thought that there was a lot of upside to him, so I'm going to stick with Highland.
Okay, you mentioned Pylon. He's going to go in at some point, isn't he? But I quite like the horse that hammered him last time, which is Doc Pick Me for Harry Whittington, who's not going to be training for much longer. But this horse has absolutely bolted up on his last few starts, and yet he's still around about an 8.5 shot, I think. He's gone up £6 for that win last time. I know it wasn't the biggest field, but he's progressive. The cheek pieces have worked the Oracle since they went on, or since they went back on. And like, I think sometimes from some yards when they have horses who are banging in horses who put a bit of a run together, they're well found. And then other times you can get horses who are won their last 2, for example, like this horse, and come into a race and they're still a bit overlooked. And I've been impressed with him his last 2 starts. I thought he's a bigger price than I expected him to be. We know that the horse stays. I suppose the one concern would be Haydock wise if it's very testing, but it's not meant to be at this stage. So I thought win and place Doc Pick Me was a fair enough shout. He ticks a few more boxes than the rest. Charlie.
My Bobby Dazzler for me. I mean, this time last year, or just he finished 3rd behind Marlon Mission, and the horse of the real whacker in a grade 2 at Doncaster. He was then considered good enough to run the grade 1 at Aintree behind Gilino Bello. He's down. I think he's down £10 again from his sort of peak mark where he put 4th behind Dolphin Square at Cheltenham in January. So in January 2022. And he ran fine on his last start. He was 2nd behind Tanks for the Help. He's had a wind up since. Tanks for the Help was obviously sent off favourite for the Potemps final. And yeah, I think at 10.0, I think he's real value when in place this time.
Okay, we're all done there, aren't we? So 3 shouts there in the form of My Bobby Dazzler, Highland, and Doc Pick Me. Then the Queen's Cup staying contest 3:35 at Musselburgh. There's a horse in here I thought was a silly price in the form of Metier. Safi Osborne is back on board. They were successful at Donny. in the November handicap of 89, lining up here of 94. The extra distance isn't going to be a problem. The one unknown is the one concern is the last run. The level was disappointing, but that was on Kempton. At Kempton, like I'm surprised this horse is about 10.0 based upon what he did the last time he raced on the turf, on the flat. Yes, the Imperial Cup was massively disappointing, but he was jumping again, and ultimately he's I think grown to be a bit inconsistent and disappointing over jumps. Like 94, given what he did at Doncaster, he has to be a well-treated horse. So 10.0 win and place, I thought was very, very fair. The more rain, the better. Hopefully it comes down. Charlie.
Yeah, I nearly came down with him as well. I was just slightly worried about whether it was going to be slow enough for him, but I see all the points you make, and I completely agree with you. In the end, I just went with Spirit Mixer. I felt like if there's one horse in the field that maybe has the potential to sort of graduate up to group class, it was this lad. He was second in Northumberland Plate behind Trushan last year. He ran very solid race, narrowly beaten even though he finished sixth behind Soapy Stevens at Newmarket over a mile and 6. So the trip is fine. Andrew Baldwin is amongst the winners, and Callum Hutchinson, who's ridden him all along, gets a really good tune out of him. So Metier was definitely in the mix for me, but I just fought with the ground conditions the way they were. I sided with Spirit Mixer.
And DC.
Yeah, this is a tough enough one. I went for East Asia. Ian Williams landed this last year with Enemy, and I think East Asia is probably not as progressive in him, but I think there's definitely a bit to him. He had a very good start to the season last year. It was in 2021. He had 3 wins. He's after taking in a few of the bigger cup, the cup races, staying races. He's had a little run out at Kempton there a few weeks ago as well, just to blow the cobwebs off. I think he should be spot on for this. And again, he's entered in another Heritage handicap at the Guineas meet in Newmarket as well. So they'll obviously have him ready to go for some early season targets. I think he's about 15.0, so I'll have a little win place betting him.
Okay, so we've got Metier, Spirit Mixer, East Asia. Assume they're all pretty much win and place. You two you got some others. Dees, this is just your chance to gloat, isn't it?
No, I'm done with the glow. I'm not gloat anymore. Jazzy Matty, the winner of the Bowdens there and the first day at Cheltenham. He's entered in at Fairy House on Saturday in I think it's the Royal Handicap Hurdle. He is he's a course and distance winner at Fairy House. He won there at the start of the season. I'd say he has plenty more in the tank, and he's going to be getting a lot of allowances as well for weight for age. So I have no idea what price is going to be. I presume he'll be near the top of the market, but I'll definitely be having a bet off him.
Good stuff. What price do you get for the Boodles?
The biggest price I got was 23.0, and I think he SP'd it for the doubles and the trebles. He was 19.0.
Lovely. Charlie, your other bet?
Carlisle 525, horse called Arctic Row for Nick Alexander. We actually had the horse in the yard for the Hemmings family. He finished second. The point-to-point bumper was a bit unlucky. At that stage, I thought he could go on to become an above-average sort of campaigner. He shows I was wrong, because he definitely hasn't ended up at that sort of level. But he won a handicap at Ayr, tidy enough, off of 89. He was only put up 4. He was still travelling well at Newcastle, and he didn't. It looked like he kind of jumped the hurdle fine, and he just, whether he caught his toe or something and knuckled over. And I'm just convinced that there's still mileage in him of this sort of markers, and certainly what we saw here, I'd be surprised if he isn't able to rate a good bit better than that and get up into the sort of low, 110 sort of area. So I thought there was still movement in that horse. Arctic Road 525 Carlisle.
Okay, Jazzy Matty is the 505 at Fairy House. Long shots, I'm going with Spirit of Light, because I found him easy enough to make a solid case for based upon what I saw out at Maidan. So Spirit of Light for me in the 225 at Musselburgh. Who are the best of your bigger prices, chaps, Charlie?
I like My Bobby Dazzler, in the 315 at Haydock. Like I say, it's a horse that was considered good enough to run in graded company. His second last time at Chepstow, there was nothing wrong with that. He's had a wind up and 10.0, so I just squeezed in there, don't I think? So yeah, I'll go with him.
DC.
I'll go for Castel Gandolfo in the 130 at Haydock.
Okay, those are the long shots. Lays, just you, Charlie.
Don't think so. I don't think. Oh yeah, I did put a layup. Sorry, I'm good today, aren't I? I'm helping you out. Yeah.
Yeah. You've gone for Guido.
Yeah, yeah. Funnily enough, I've gone for him, but I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it. Inniston, 140 at Newton Abbott. He's by far the best horse in this race. There's also Paul Nicholls is in there. Maybe there's opposition, but I just thought he'd had a couple of wicked hard races on bad ground when he was second in the EBF final, and then back out at Newbury not that long after. And I just wonder, how many times you can keep going to the well in a short space of time on very testing conditions. So if I've no idea what sort of price he'd be. I'd have thought he'd be under 2.0 Dees, will he? He'd be 1.75, something like that, will he? Is there any?
He'd be first or second, surely. I think Whole Time Hero will probably head the betting, won't he?
You think he will? Yeah.
Don't know. What have you got, Dees?
That's Newton Abbott in the four. No prices yet.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe not, Charlie. I'm looking at it. So, I mean, Whole Time Hero is rated £1 superior, but he's got the double penalty. So, yeah I don't know. Just the Nicholls factor made me feel like he probably would be, but I don't know that's right.
But yeah, anything sort of sub 2.0, I'd be willing to take him on that. He's a nice horse, but he's had some tough races recently.
Yeah, it'll definitely be the two of them are well clear. So I think it'll be one of the two anyway. Heading the market, and you're against Inniston. Fine. Moving on to best bets. Mine is Spirit of Light, very boring, but just on a difficult day, I found him comfortably easiest to make a solid case for why he's way overpriced. Charlie.
Arctic Row for me, 5.25 Carlisle.
DC, we're taking each other on.
Yeah, I'm going for Abduction in the 2.25 at Musselburgh.
Good stuff. Hopefully one of us wins it. Hopefully it's me.
Do the forecast.
Yeah. The forecast has improved here, thankfully. I can hear.
Can we just ask Dees about the moisturiser as well that the comments are coming up with about his youthful look?
Look, it's coming into spring, and you'll know, like you live in a farm, Charlie. Sometimes you set the fields on fire just to get rid of the old stuff and promote new growth. And once every 6 months, I do it. Yeah.
Look at the shine.
Yeah, I tell you now.
So there's obviously someone that does another podcast for another company who this man doesn't have any hair. And I think he's getting trolled at the moment by every time he posts something. You know the John Virgo things where John Virgo goes, "Where's the cue ball going?"
I know who you're on about. I'm at least, I'd say, 8 or 9 stone away from being a idiot. So, yeah.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking just about the style. Anyway, when they talked about the moisturiser, I nearly went, "Where's the cue ball going?"
I've everything else here on the desk now except for moisturiser.
Yeah, you're looking very hair free at the moment.
Yeah,
it's because I had a shave, lads. It's like
What's the chest doing?
Chest. Oh no, there's plenty of stuff there.
Whoa!
Oh, look at that.
Whoa! Tell you what,
I've loads of hair everywhere else except for my head. Yeah.
On that bombshell.
You know you're married, Dees. Get yourself a trimmer, man.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, all. We'll leave you with that thought. Bye.